Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Pivot Poll. We are here on Friday night, and we are elated and excited as always to have you guys here with us tonight here at the Pivot Poll. I am Andretta, and this is
Heather. Hi, guys.
And so we are here for another round of the pivot poll. And, as always, we're always on here a little bit early, chatting it up, and we're always revved up by the time we get on here, ready to represent our sides of the fence, our sides of the story. And
Yes.
tonight we are going to tackle conflicts in relationships. And hey, Noelle, how are you? Welcome. Noelle sings with us on the praise team, and so
Yes.
she's here tonight. Welcome, Noelle. And so tonight we're going to tackle conflicts in relationships. And so we thought it was a worthy topic because we feel like all friendships have some form of conflict. Conflict is unavoidable. Conflict is inevitable. Conflict is something that we're going to face in relationship to one another, and not just friendship relationships, but all relationships.
Yep.
Anytime you got two parties in a relationship, you can rest assured that you're going to have some conflict. Hey, Gloria V, welcome. And so we thought, why not? Let's just talk about, conflicts in relationships and friendships. And as you guys know, Heather and I have known each other for quite some time now. And we felt like, knowing our relationship, how we interact, we thought that we could speak to this area of conflicts in relationship. And so Heather and I, we have two separate personalities. We've already kind of discerned and decided and shared, even as of what was it last week, that I'm the introvert and she's the extrovert. And so even with that dynamic, it does really shine a light on and kind of demonstrate itself in the way that we handle conflict, just in an opposite way. And so we just wanted to talk about how we kind of roll with conflict. And, we want you guys to chime in as you hear yourself. You want to share your thoughts, your ideas, your experiences. We welcome your comments as always as we talk about conflicts in relationships tonight. And so my personality, of those of you who know me, the way Heather and I entered into friendship some time ago, and we quickly found out that we handle conflicts in two very different ways. And so, with myself, I think in the way that I handle conflict, I'm definitely the person that kind of desires to be like, hey, let's get to talking about the conflict. But I'm going to share my side of that story. I'm going to let Heather go first. Heather, you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the way that you handle conflict, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I handle conflict like this. I run. I don't like conflict. I've never liked conflict. And my first reaction is to run like a sprinter. Nikki.
Nikki, how are you, Nikki? Good to see you.
I'm a runner when it usually comes to conflict.
Yeah. And so we found that out really quickly because I am not a runner. In our relationship, I'm the person. Look, she's giving looks. She's throwing shade already, y'all. We done been in here 9 minutes and 20 seconds, and she already throwing shade. See how it goes? That's how. See, conflict in friendship. But I am the type of person that I really, really, really do love. She's a runner. She's a track star.
Yes, that's my theme song.
So as it relates to conflict in our relationship, we are definitely following two separate sides of the spectrum. And so we really thought that we could address conflict, especially when you're dealing with a person who is not like you, who does not handle conflict and manage conflict and resolve conflict the way that you do. Heather's the runner. She avoids the conflict, and I'm the one who likes to address conflict. And so, we've had many experiences where, I definitely, desire to address conflict as it arises when I see the need to address it. What, and I felt like for when we were talking earlier, we kind of decided, there are two separate parts of conflict. First of all, is just confrontation, confrontation. And I am not afraid of confrontation. Like, I'm not afraid to address confrontation. If I feel like something, needs to be addressed, if I feel like something needs to be talked about, if I feel like I need to get something off of my chest, especially if I have named you friend.
Yes.
Then I'm going to confront the situation.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
I'm going to confront the situation. I've never, ever been afraid of conflict. And so I brought that into this relationship. I really, from the beginning, have always been the one on the side of the friendship that definitely doesn't have any qualms with, making my requests be made known, sharing my thoughts, my opinions, my hurt, my disappointment, whatever that might be. I just have never hesitated in our relationship, nor, I don't want to start speaking for all relationships, but I feel like, when you have a relationship that's close to somebody, you should be able to speak your mind about things and get things off of your chest. But, I quickly found out that Heather, that Heather did not feel the same. She does not feel the same way. So I'll let her talk about it.
I don't, I've grown in this area, but I don't like conflict. My natural propensities are not to run into conflict or confrontation. I don't like confrontations.
Mm-hmm.
They unsettle me. They make me very nervous, and I just really don't like it. And it because it just, and I'm not trying to say I have to be like a happy-go-lucky, but I just don't do well when it comes to that confrontation part.
I have a question now. I don't know why this just came to me, but do you feel like that's something that you only demonstrate in your relationships, or is that something that you demonstrate across the board, like at work or
across the board? Even at work, I don't enjoy conflict. The position that I have now requires me to be in that sometimes, but even in it, I don't like it. I don't. I'm a resolver. I want to resolve it quick, and I want to just move on. But that's not how conflict and confrontation works.
Okay, for you, yeah, and that's true, Heather. And Nikki said, Heather, you're not alone. So you got some. Not alone. I am here.
Yes.
Though you far apart. Oh, sorry.
See.
Thank you. That was what needed. But no, you're not alone in that. And I think that Heather's not alone in that. I think and she actually, we were talking about this earlier, and she said, I guarantee you that most people are like me.
Yep.
They are not feeling the need to, first of all, confront. Just deal with step number one. Am I going to confront this situation? Right. And so, for me, I was like, well, you might be right on that. I said, I guess I'm a rarity in that way as well, because, I definitely just never have. I came here this way. Like, I came here talking stuff. I came here talking stuff. Gloria V said it depends for me. Mm-hmm. What does it depend on? Tell me, Gloria V, shed some light if you can, or feel like it, or desire to shed some light on what those variables are for you. Yeah. And if she's going to share with us. But yeah, I've never had that issue. Just deciding, because for me, if I don't confront it, I'm not right. Like, Okay, so she says the topic and the person. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's key, having the wisdom. And that's probably Gloria V has some wisdom there. Yeah, I didn't always have that wisdom, Gloria V, of the topic and the person. I just felt like I don't feel good about it, and I'm gonna say something. Yeah, but and so I've always felt just that necessity, because I've always felt left of center. If something was bothering me really, really bad. And Nikki says, I try not to confront when feelings are attached and the issue had to be worth it. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we talked about that. If you care enough. If you care. And I think everybody has to. That's key, Nikki. That was really good, because I think, it has to be worth it for you to want to wade through all of the emotions. Like Heather, if you're the person that doesn't want to confront, and you've got to overcome, the barrier of just confronting in the first place, then I definitely feel like you've got to weigh in on whether or not it's worth it to you, because to delve into that kind of, position when, first of all, you're not even comfortable with it, and then it not even have been worth it at the end is not necessarily, a worthy cause. Yeah. Well, it's not to say I always get it right. Yeah. And I think that's what this discussion is about, because we haven't always gotten it right at all. I have not gotten it right at all. I failed many times, but I've grown over the years, but I've definitely, had moments where I look back and say, okay, I think I could have left that one. I could have left that one alone. Yeah. But the second portion of that is basically, the first portion is like, hey, do I confront at all? And how do you deal with confrontation on just that basic level? But secondly, once you're in the confrontation, how do you handle it?
Yes. And see, for me, I'm a runner, I'm a track star, and I'm also I will start getting very defensive. So I start to get defensive, and it's thick. It's a thick defense, because now I've been avoiding trying to get in it. I'm in it, and now I'm like, okay. So I'm trying now. I'm in it. Now I'm trying to back myself, back up from it. And the easiest way for me to do that, I naturally will gravitate towards defending myself.
Right. Yeah. And Heather and I have had, I'll tell you some of our little stories. Heather and I have had these moments where, of course, I'm the one that's, bringing it up, and I'll say, hey, I'm having a problem with something. I don't feel good about something. I started noticing early on, and we're here to tell our stories.
Yeah.
Just be transparent. I started noticing early on, I'm like, Heather, you're not addressing the issue. Yes, I am. Yes, no, you're not. And so what I quickly found out, and I did not really know this, because I think before our friendship, I don't know that I had been in close relationship with a person who raised up defenses as quickly.
Right.
So I realized that I don't like defensiveness. I don't like that. You don't like it. So it would escalate quickly the moment that I figured out she's being defensive.
Yep.
She will not address what I'm talking about right now, because as a person who is not afraid to confront, I start off, say, on level 1 or 2. Oh, she said I don't start on 1 or 2. You're going to say I ain't never started on 1 or 2, Heather. I ain't never started on 1.
I'm going to say 2.5.
Okay, 2.5. I'm going to give that to you. Start with the small things and be honest. That's how you get out of probably the defensiveness. That's key. But I would go to Heather and say, okay, I feel uncomfortable about something. I didn't like something, and then the defensiveness. Oh, here's my daughter. Here's my daughter, everybody. My daughter says the devil is a lie. It's five.
It starts on 5.
And I may not always start on 5. I've not always started on 5 with Heather, but I probably have from time to time. And maybe I'm being defensive. Maybe this is defensive right here. That's probably defense right there.
Right.
But what we would end up doing is getting into these conflicts where, I'm trying to share my heart about something, and I felt like you're not taking responsibility. Mm-hmm. You're not taking responsibility, Heather. Why are you not taking responsibility?
And I am taking responsibility, but I'm going. Another thing I used to do, I don't do as much anymore. I'm getting better. But the merry-go-round, the mulberry bush, I'll take you around the world on a trip.
Right.
And that's a part of defensiveness and a part of avoiding and a part of I'm constantly trying to back myself out of it.
Right.
And it does not work. It doesn't work in this relationship. It doesn't work in this friendship.
And the reason why it doesn't work,
it gets higher and higher.
It gets higher and higher because I am now 38 hot. I'm 38 hot because I can understand why you're not you're not acknowledging or at least taking the time to think about what I'm sharing that I've come to you with, and it doesn't work because I am like a pit bull on a on a bone.
Yes, sir. I
don't let stuff go very easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I was a different type of a person and I can walk away from things and go, oh, never mind, that would probably work for her. But because once I am on something, I don't easily get off of it. Like until I feel that we have had some communication, some resolve of some kind. I need to be heard.
Yes. And I feel like the resolve could be that day. The resolve could be the next day. I don't think it's ever gone day 2 or 3, but it's gone overnight.
But I think it could go day 2 or 3 if I would allow it to go day 2 or 3.
Yes, but that's not how that goes.
And so, so as you can already see, we really do handle conflicts that much differently. And so what we had to do with one another, and we'll get more into that, is really learn to handle one another's propensities, the way that we're built, the way that we adapt, the way that we cope, with conflict a little differently. Because what I learned is that, I operate, my conflict resolution comes from how I grew up.
Mm-hmm. And mine too.
Heather's conflict resolution, we discovered this by talking, because we do communicate a lot. Like we do talk a lot. Well, I talk a lot. I'm not sure who's talking a lot, but I feel like I'm probably doing, we're talking a lot.
I listen a lot.
So let me say this. Through us communicating, I think we figured out, I think we were really talking one day heart to heart about why this was happening like it was.
Right.
And what I quickly found out is that it was both of but it was Heather said something key, and it kind of made me think it was both of our upbringing.
Yep.
That kind of brought us to the place.
It did. Because growing up, I equated arguing and conflict with the lack of love.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that if we got into a conflict or we started arguing and going through that meant that there was no love there. You didn't love me. That was my concept growing up. Mm-hmm. So I took that into adulthood, into all of my friendships, all of my relationships. Mm-hmm. So that was key to figure, and I didn't know that, I didn't consciously know that until we started talking about, how the differences are with how we handle conflict and how we handle, the resolve of conflict as well.
Mm-hmm. And that was key. That was a big breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand why people function the way that they do.
Right.
Like, you got to know, why is it that people function the way that they do? And once you can kind of get where the foundation of where it's coming from, then a lot of growth can come from that. Because once I understood, where that was coming from and why she was, first of all, afraid of conflict.
Right.
And second of all, defensive and all, kind of, I don't want to do this whole discussion thing. It allowed me to understand her better and understand where it was coming from, that it wasn't just, coming out of a vicious or mean or any kind of place like that. It was just, I don't like conflict because to me, it was modeled for me, and I learned that that was a negative thing.
Right.
And for me, in my upbringing, we handle conflict, any of my family that's on here will hear this, they are aware. Like, conflict meant you spoke your piece. And if it was 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people in the room, everybody might try to speak their piece at the same time. Half the people in the room shedding tears. Everybody gonna get their point across. But at the end of that conversation, we just moved on.
Yeah.
Now, whether everybody was fine, I don't know. We moved on. My grandmother, I would spend a lot of time with my grandmother. My grandmother, okay, Savannah said yes, because why are we beating around the bush to get to the point? Okay, so when I grew up, everybody just hashed it out. We fought it out, like crying, tears, yelling, and some people probably could not have handled that. I remember being a crier early on, but you learn to suck that up after time. And I'm not saying that was healthy. I'm not like advocating for that, but it's where I learned to basically deal with conflicts, is to say my piece, but I'm not mad like that. We can still go get Chinese food afterwards, because Heather said to me, once, remember about, okay, I'm not used to that,
Yeah. I'm not used to the having a conflict and then go and, go get a slice of pizza.
Right.
I'm used to having a conflict, and it could last a while. Mm-hmm. And there's still you can still feel the heaviness in the room 2, 3, 4 days later.
Or it could be the end of a relationship.
It could definitely be the end. And I've had that. It has been the end of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't come from the let's all hash it out situation. I came from, if conflict came up, I would usually try and back out. Mm-hmm. Or if I got to the point that I got mad and angry, then I'm going at it. And then even in the midst of that, I would be quiet and back up, because now I'm feeling the oh my God, this person might not love me, or oh my God, I might lose this person. Or so all these things are going through my head and through my emotions. Mm-hmm. So I never liked it. It was just too much energy. Right. I never liked it.
It is energy. And I think, and one of the things that, that I tried to do, that I think, was a part of kind of like the, what I would call is the defense, or the avoidance is what I want to call it. The avoidance. One of the things that, and we talked about this, just sharing these is Heather used to like to address very sensitive things in text messages.
Because I didn't think anything was wrong with a text. I'm like,
something wrong with it. Something wrong with it. So
I didn't think anything was wrong with a text.
And y'all weigh in if you think that
Yes.
you should resolve conflicts via text message. Please let me know. Put your poll in.
Yeah, put your poll in.
I am a strong advocate for communication. I am a strong advocate for that. And I told Heather early on, I said, we are two adult grown women. We're not 10. We're not 12. We're not 15. And if we are in a conflict, if we're in a sensitive place with one another, if I need to apologize, or if you need to apologize, or you've got to confront something that you don't like, we're not going to handle that through a text message.
Yes.
Because I always feel like there is so much room for perceived tones and perceived, just the tone in which it's sent, that I want you to hear my heart when I'm speaking. I want you to hear, okay. I like what Nikki said. Communication is communication. Recognize her olive branch. Yeah, no. It's not. No, it's not.
Thank you, Nikki. I like the olive branch, but
Noel says I agree, not through text. Okay, so and I can see that, but I hear what Nikki is saying. We might start there. Okay, my daughter needs deliverance, so you can tell who it depends, because sometimes I want you to hear the sarcasm and pettiness.
See, Savannah.
Okay, so is the question regards to being taught at a young age from family? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, where you taught conflict resolution as a child at home, or what was demonstrated in your home.
Yeah.
Based upon what, I just grew up in that way, but as it relates to the communication, I don't live my life through text message.
And
now,
I try not to, but I do get caught up sometimes.
She does do it.
I will. And then I get the phone call. Didn't we have this conversation?
Yeah.
And then you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and I mean, we have had conversations via text message before, but I just think especially when something is so sensitive that it can damage your relationship, hurt feelings are involved, you are in a position where, you're both feeling misunderstood, I just feel like pick up the phone and let's have let's chat. Because this is not love loss. Conflict doesn't mean we're losing love. Conflict doesn't mean we're losing relationship. Conflict and this confrontation here means that something is broken that needs to be mended. Yes. And so here we got, Nikki said, I don't think you can fully resolve conflict via text, but it does give an opening for those who are uncomfortable with confrontation to broach the subject. Nikki, that's good. Nikki, that's good. Nikki, I'll give you that, Nikki. I feel good about what you said. Yeah, that's key. I think it can definitely open the door. But we're not going to have 16 pages worth of text messages. I'm just
now you exaggerating.
No, it's not. It was a short novel. I mean, it was short novels. It was little bitty pamphlets and brochures and whatnot. For me, I'm just sensitive about that. I want to hear your voice. Even when I have to say something kind, I want to say it to you. I've called Heather on many days to say something kind to her, or something wonderful or sweet, to say, hey, I really appreciate you as a friend. I say that to her because I want her to hear my voice and to hear that which the tone in my heart about it.
Yes.
Because I'm not afraid to do that either, so I'm just not, because I'm the person who will complain to the manager at the restaurant, but I'll also give compliments to the manager. How many times do I do that?
That's true.
I'll call a manager over at any time and say, oh my God, they're exceptional. If there are any commendations that they can have. But I'll also call over and say, hey, this was a mess tonight. We need to do this. So I just really feel like we have to, and I'll get to that. I just really feel like we have to have to be mindful of the avenues through which we communicate to one another to resolve conflicts. But to Nikki's point, if you are uncomfortable with confrontation, it does open up a door. So I give you that, Nikki.
Yay.
And Heather. And Gloria B says no, there was conflict, but no discussion or resolution after. Had to learn about it later on. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I think a lot of people just learned or just took on whatever the example that was given and just rolled with that,
Right.
Because I think for me, I think one of what do you feel like your strength is? We talked about strengths in conflict resolution too. What do you think
think
about
my
this?
strength is that I can keep a level head. I don't blow up. I don't get yeah, I'm even. I guess that's better or good word.
Absolutely.
I'm just calm. Even
Yes,
even in the midst of a conflict, I'm calm.
yes, absolutely. Heather, I'll give you that. You're absolutely a level head and calm because we probably would not make it otherwise.
No.
My strength, I'm going to say, is I'm in it to win it. I will walk the miles and miles and miles to resolve a thing with somebody that I love. I will absolutely walk miles and miles. I'm
Yeah.
in it to win it. When I am in a position with somebody, I'm not trying to throw people away. The people that I really love, I'm not trying to throw you away. I don't want to have to do all that. If I got to that point, I'm to that point for a reason.
Right.
And so understand that I'm walking miles and miles with you. We go round and round and round it until we get to the place of resolve.
True.
So I don't mind the communication. I do like to communicate. I think that's my strength.
Yeah.
What about our opportunities? What do you feel like your opportunities are?
I think my opportunities are to learn in this relationship and this friendship, I have learned how to better embrace conflict and confrontation. So the opportunities that exist in that, not just in this friendship, but in general, I think I've grown in those areas because of this friendship. So I have and I also have the opportunity to. I have a bad issue of like trying to talk when other person's talking. I'm getting better. You know what? You know what? You ain't got to raise your hands on that one. See, you ain't got to raise your hands. So I am learning that you can't listen and try and defend at the same time. It doesn't work because your brain can't. It doesn't work like that. So thanks, Gloria. So I'm learning. I'm taking the opportunity to listen.
Right.
Because one thing I do know about Andretta is that if she's bringing it to the table, then it's real. That's something. It's not just coming, out the air. And if she's bringing it to the table, then it's something that really needs to be talked about. Then it's something that we need to deal with.
Glory said it.
See, I'm telling you, you start to talking and you listen.
Yeah, and I'll say this, back to something you said, and then I'll talk about my opportunities too. I think that one of the key things that I'm just my thing is I love communication. I just love communication. I do. I consider myself to be a person who really does like, okay, this is good. Heather, are you aware before she brings it to the table? Are you aware of the issue?
Now, yeah. I know now, sometimes now more than I did before, that something's coming, and I can actually I start to replay a conversation in my head, and I'm like, yeah, that I didn't yeah, that ain't right. And phone will ring, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I get it. But,
Yeah.
I haven't always
Yeah, that's
able
true.
to be aware
That's true.
of the situation. And I know that I have sometimes said, do you really know? I do, Savannah, I promise. But and Andretta can maybe say yes or no to
Mhm,
this, but
mhm,
there
mhm.
are times when I will say, did I do something?
Yeah.
And that's my intro to
Yeah, yeah, you do.
I think I did something here, but did I do something?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
but I haven't always, and I don't always catch it before it comes to the table. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, I will tell you, if somebody was to answer that question, I would have to say no, because I'm very rarely aware. If Heather, first of all, if Heather brings something, the sky is falling. Okay.
because
So
I
sit
don't,
down, close your mouth, and listen.
yeah,
Okay.
because I don't.
Because if she says, I need to talk to you about something, she meant that. She meant that thing. Like, this is not casual. I mean, hear this. Because she rarely has a whole bunch that she feels like she's upset about because of her, kind of even killed nature. I'm high strung. I will say that. Whatever that might mean to some people. But I'm definitely, if it's one of us that's high strung, I am definitely the high strung one here. And everybody who knows me probably is highly aware of that. But so when Heather brings something, I'm not always aware of it. But I do listen because I know she's just one of those people that if she's bringing up a conflict and she's confronting you, that means you have gotten on her last nerve, or number two, what you did in that moment was so far beyond what she's able to accept that she's going to say something to you, and she will. People think Heather is a pushover. She absolutely is not. She just she just picks and chooses the things that bother her.
Yeah.
And that would be, and you were talking about listening and hearing. And that's something that we had to learn to do. And you can listen and hear from all levels. And I think, the way that we have chosen to listen and hear one another has grown.
It has.
You've got to know how to listen and how to not just listen, but hear.
Sure.
Hear what thus saith the person you in a relationship with.
Because
Yeah, and you've got to seek to and seeking to understand, and not always seeking to be understood.
right.
You'll have your time where you can try to get the other person to understand you, but a lot of conflicts just keep coming and keep going because people don't stop to really understand from the perspective of the other individual what is the
Right.
problem. And I think we've grown to that place. Don't you? Do you agree with that?
Oh, I
Or
agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I
yeah,
agree wholeheartedly. Yeah.
yeah. And so with me, are you about to say something? Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I know that within our conflicts, I mean, there hasn't been anything that we could not say to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to grow to that. And I think if you don't do that in friendships, then you're setting your friendship up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
if I can't come to her and things do roll off of my back. I don't, because I am just kind of even like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I couldn't come to her and say, hey, this is bothering me, then I believe that this friendship would not be able to stand because
Absolutely.
the person who is holding that can only hold that for
Mm-hmm.
so long
Absolutely.
without imploding. So
Right.
you have to be able to speak the truth
Mm-hmm.
to the friend.
Right. Right. And I think to that point, the part that as an opportunity, I have a few opportunities, but one of my greatest things that I've learned in this relationship and the opportunity is I don't have to confront everything. You know, I just was one of those people that felt like, oh, that needs to be addressed. You ain't got to address everything. Like, seriously, it doesn't because that was wearing her out. Like, if you're a person that doesn't like conflict and you got a person on your, you know, that's a friend of yours that's close to you in your house, your husband, your whoever that feels like they've got to confront everything because it becomes a critical spirit. It becomes nitpicking, and that's not of God. I mean, it's just not. And you've got to learn that everything that happens doesn't need confrontation.
Right.
Some things can be left alone. Ding. What revelation I received is that I don't have to address every little thing that I feel like I don't feel comfortable with, or, you know, because sometimes it's me, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just the way that you perceive and the way that you see things in your perspective that needs to be corrected. Not necessarily the other person. And so before you hit the confrontation button, slow your roll. I had to learn to slow my roll and go, really, is that something? It's not. And that really lessens the amount of conflict resolution that you have to enter into at all. So I really had to bow to that and say, listen, you know, that's not even necessary, because I'm one of them people that just, I look at someone, feel I need to say something about that. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't need to say that. You don't. And so once I quickly and I can't say quickly. Once I understood that, I quickly began to get like, hey, you know, you don't have to say something about everything. You can allow Holy Spirit to be a guide. You can suck it up because that's you. You know what I mean? And it's not even that big a deal. So that became one of my greatest opportunities. And then, you know, y'all just pray for my fuse is like, it was this big.
Right. It's getting bigger.
It's probably like this long now.
It's a little bit longer than that now.
Maybe like, can I have this?
You can have that. That's about as far as you go, though. Bring it back. Bring it back in. Bring it back in.
I have always, and I think that came from growing up too. Like, just I got the DNA. But my husband used to say to me, your fuse can be Noel, you laughing? Your fuse, Savannah says, no, you cannot have that.
See? Yeah.
Oh, my child is on here. It's
like
a
bitch. Savannah.
Listen, you know, I feel like I told Heather it's in my DNA somewhere, and I need to take on the DNA of Christ, because I get 38 hottest fish grease about stuff. I do. I don't have very much patience, and the Lord is teaching me patience, and I need to enter into the patience of the Lord, because
entering.
See Nikki. See how you act. See how you act, Nikki.
They're just telling the truth.
So that's my opportunity is, and I have gleaned some of that from Heather. You know, it's just let it go. Like,
yeah, because there's some things I'm just like, no, I'm not.
Let it go.
Just let it go.
And there are exchanges that happen with the people that you're close to, whether you know it or not. Because I see things that bothered me that now bother Heather somehow, like the drive-through window. Like,
yeah, that didn't bother me before, but now I'm really like, I'm over
pass that on to her, and that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
She was just like, is there ever a window that something is okay? Is there ever a window that something, is it ever okay? No.
Is it ever okay when you go to the drive?
I never have these experiences at the drive-through. Never.
So
but
now I do.
And I have kind of, you know, pulled in. So we're gonna just release that in the name of Jesus at drive-through. But you know, I have learned to be more level-headed and to be more calm and to be like, okay, let me let that go. Because you know, I've definitely gotten a little, that's why I say I get a little more. Because I can hold, my husband used to say, you can hold it for who you want to. Like, And that's the truth, because when my my paycheck is involved, I know how to close my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So exercise that same, get what they
Yes.
say, bring
Just
that same energy. Bring that same energy. Don't, do it to the people that you love, and calm down for them as well, and so those are opportunities. The glory, my husband agrees, he is listening along. Not all conflicts need to be resolved. Sometimes tensions are necessary. I feel you. I feel that. Yeah, that's just the truth. um and you learn to walk away from some things. You don't have to put everything on, all your cards on the table at every moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so we've learned a lot through the years. We have a really are because we are, I don't know what yin and yang means, but I do know it's opposite. We are definitely opposites.
Yeah.
Introvert, extrovert, cool headed, hot headed,
You have,
confront,
yeah,
avoid,
non-conforming.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we're definitely opposites. And some people may feel like that doesn't work, but it actually works very well for us.
It does.
People don't know us that well who are on looking, but we really do have a great relationship. We can talk about anything. But we've learned because when you have to commit yourself to learning
Right.
and growing, because
Right.
Heather could have continued to circle the wagons and defend,
Hmm.
but she wanted more for herself in our relationship, because it bothered me to
Right.
be in the relationship with someone who wants to be defensive. And
Right.
I had to learn not everything has to be confronted, because that bothers Heather, because she does not like confrontation. And
Exactly.
so to minimize that is helpful.
Yeah,
You
you got to be willing to, like you said earlier, you got to be willing to fight.
know?
So you got to be willing to fight for the relationship, the friendship. You have to be willing to, and be willing to listen. Conflicts are going to happen. That's life. And how you handle it can make or break a friendship.
Right.
It can literally make or break a friendship. And I care enough about Andretta to handle conflicts the right way in our relationship. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but and if you don't care, then you can actually walk away from something and not resolve it.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts both. I personally think that hurts both people in the end.
Yeah, and we recognize there are times for which things just won't be resolved,
Yeah.
between two people, and sometimes it's more the negative energy or the negative atmosphere, or the exchange is just not a good one, and sometimes the makeup is just not a good one, and you got to know. I told her, long as God is glorified at the end of the day, we can always be friends,
Yeah.
and that should be the case. But not let's just not be friends for the sake of it. Let's be friends because it works and it goes well, and
Right.
all of those things, because to just be with somebody in a relationship, friendship or otherwise, no matter what the relationship is, we're talking about friendship tonight. But thinking about your relationship with your children, and growing up, I didn't have family meetings, but I had family meetings with my children. I let them sit around, and in those family meetings, they got to speak their hearts and their minds to each other, to us. Yes, there were tears shed, there were some hurt feelings, there was some truth, but sometimes just getting that off your chest and saying that hurt me is enough to bring healing.
Correct. It's saying we never had family meetings. It was that no.
Mhm.
You all are actually the first family that I know who had family meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that many families that did that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, and I, like I said, I just like to communicate. And I think when I see, when you see families are, having some form of breakdown and people are upset and there's tension in the house, somebody need to sit down. Let's just sit
Yeah.
down and have a conversation, because maybe there's some pent up energy, or hurt feelings, or whatever that is that needs to be talked about. And even as parents, our children have let us know, y'all, you're falling short here. This is where you all are falling short. in
Yeah.
no uncertain terms. And so, but I thank God for the times that we have allowed them to sit with us as adults and share their hearts, especially as authority figures, because I watch them advocate for themselves. They're
Mm-hmm.
not afraid to advocate for themselves and to speak up and to, deal with conflict. They're
Right.
not, because we taught them how to sit in a room and to face somebody and say, this is what you did to me, this is what you said to me, I did not like it, and this is how it made me feel, and I want this to change this way. And
Mm-hmm.
so because of that, we kind of equipped them, kind of broke down that, that fear of conflict, because no, they may not run into a conflict cheering for one, but if they get in one, they know how to stand and speak their truth. And
Yeah.
so that's always been key for us, which is why I kind of started saying, hey, let's just have a family meeting, because these kids got some stuff they need to say. I have some stuff. He has some stuff. We all got some things. And then we order Chinese food and watch movies and laugh and move on. And it also taught them, that that you
It's
can have
okay.
conflict and you're not going to lose relationship just because you're unhappy or someone needs to confront you. So.
Exactly. So I have a question for the folks who are on the line. Growing up, did you have family meetings? Did your families get together when there was some conflict going on? Um, did the family come together to talk about it? I wonder what that looks like for some folks.
We are saying no. Glory V is saying no. They never had family
Okay.
meetings.
Hey, Beatrice, thank you for coming on.
Hi,
Um,
Beatrice.
so Glory says no, she did not have family meetings. Okay. Okay. Beatrice, we're talking about conflict in friendships and growing up. Did your family have family meetings to talk about, the conflicts or things that were going on in the family? Hey, because you all were the first family that I've known to do that, and I think it's really good.
Noel
Noah
says
said they
no.
didn't. Okay, Noah said they didn't. I think it's good to do it because, like you said, it teaches your children how. Not really. Okay, it teaches your children how to handle conflict.
My daughter says yes. I vividly remember being called annoying in every one. That would have been from her brothers.
Yes, that's from her brothers who
That would
love
have
her
been from her brothers.
dearly. They love her.
Who love her dearly.
Love you dearly.
Savannah, even at a young age, was able to articulate her situation. Like we haven't done have a family night with the games, and I like games, and I want to play games. To her, that was important, and we might have resolved that. I don't know if we ever really we did better for a little while, but we always fell off the game wagon.
Yes.
But fell off the game wagon, but all in all, I think it's a worthy subject. We only broached the subject tonight just to share, in our relationship about friendship.
Yeah.
My Felix said never ever. My dad didn't have that. Laugh out loud.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that, and I'm glad he said that, because if you start having family meetings, you have to prepare your heart as a grown adult.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because to hear your children say things to you that are accusatory,
Not cute. Probably not cute.
somebody wants to rise out of you and tell people to be quiet. Hush right now, but
Let's get the hush mouth. Yeah.
exactly. But you can't do that. You've got to be open. More like ongoing conversations. My family sat around the table and talked a lot, and that's great. And that's a great way to be as well, just keeping that open dialogue all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't have to sit down and have some massive meeting, or whatever, when becomes necessary. But that's wonderful.
I think all in all, friendships are a blessing from God. That's my thought. And if your fortunate enough to have a good friendship with one person or three people, it doesn't matter, then the way that you treat it and the way that you handle it is important. And conflicts are going to always come up.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing about it is that I can truly say both of us have learned a lot from each other by
Mm-hmm.
being in conflict
Mm-hmm.
um, within this friendship. So if you don't learn it and don't learn how to communicate with your friends, then the relationship, it could fall apart. And if
Yeah.
it's important to you, then
Mm-hmm.
you'll learn how to handle the conflict.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's a good quote. When you know better, you do better.
Yep.
When you know better, you do better, or you
Or
sure
you or
try.
you try.
Absolutely. We want to thank you guys for coming on to the Pivot Poll tonight. We have enjoyed you guys so very much. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your perspectives, your experiences. It
Thank
has
you,
been
Nikki.
wonderful. Thank you, Nikki. Now she'll send me a text or something about something she wanted to say, I guess. But but thank you guys so much for coming, Nikki, Felix, Savannah, Beatrice, Noel, Gloria V, and anyone else who is on the line tonight. We just want to say we are always elated and glad to have you guys.
Yes.
Thank you for taking out of your schedules just to share your thoughts and your opinions with us. We absolutely, absolutely do value you so much. And so
Yes.
until next Friday at 9 p.m., you guys have a great weekend and make it awesome. Enjoy and have a prosperous week. We love you. Good night.
Good night.